Listening Fill in the Blanks.
Let's start.
Over time, various models of public policy emerged, such as the rational model, the incremental model, and the advocacy coalition framework, which help explain how policymakers arrive at decisions. The field of public policy has evolved, shaped by historical, social, and political factors. Initially, public policy was primarily concerned with economic matters and the regulation of trade and commerce. However, as societies became more complex and interconnected, the scope of public policy expanded to include various social, environmental, and technological issues.
Public policy can be categorized into several types based on focus, scope, and duration. Distributive policies allocate resources among societal groups, ensuring fair distribution. Redistributive policies aim to reduce income inequality by redistributing wealth. Regulatory policies control or manage behaviors to protect the public interest. Constitutional policies establish fundamental rules and principles governing society. Foreign policies promote national interests, maintain peace and stability, and foster international cooperation.
The practice of natural resource management considers the ways in which societies manage the supply of or access to the natural resources, upon which they rely for their survival and development. Under some definitions, only those natural resources that can renew themselves, and whose exploitation relies on their regenerative capacities properly necessitate management. For example, petroleum, oil, is not usually considered a subject of natural resource management, whereas forests are. The management of renewable natural resources seeks to balance the demands of exploitation with a respect for regenerative capacities.
Remember the Hindenburg? That's a phrase often heard when hydrogen is discussed. This German passenger airship, kept aloft by hydrogen, crashed in flames as it came into land at Lakehurst, New Jersey, USA in May 1937. 35 people died. Nowadays helium, wick and burn is the gas of choice for the lighter-than-air craft. Hydrogen is highly flammable, but recent research has indicated that the airship's fabric, not hydrogen, was the culprit in the Hindenburg disaster. Properly handled, there's no reason to think hydrogen is any more dangerous as a fuel than petrol, the explosive liquid now carried safely in the tanks of untold millions of motor vehicles.
The recognition of the wealth and diversity of England's coastal archaeology has been one of the most important developments of recent years. Some elements of this enormous resource have long been known. The so-called submerged forests off the coasts of England, sometimes with clear evidence of human activity, had attracted the interest of antiquarians since at least the 18th century, but serious and systematic attention has been given to the archaeological potential of the coast only since the early 1980s.
At the beginning of the 21st century, about 80% of the world's energy supply was derived from fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, and natural gas. Fossil fuels are finite resources. Most estimates suggest that the proven reserves of oil are large enough to meet global demand at least until the middle of the 21st century. Fossil fuel combustion has a number of negative environmental consequences. Fossil-fueled power plants emit air pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, and toxic chemicals, heavy metals, mercury, chromium, and arsenic, and mobile sources, such as fossil-fueled vehicles, emit nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, and particulate matter. Exposure to these pollutants can cause heart disease, asthma, and other human health problems.
The challenge for educators and policymakers is to shape the evolution of national identity in such a way that the rights of all citizens, including school children, are respected, and the cultural, linguistic, and economic resources of the nation are maximized. To waste the resources of the nation by discouraging children from developing their mother tongues is quite simply unintelligent. From the point of view of national self-interest, a first step in providing an appropriate education for culturally and linguistically diverse children is to examine what the existing research says about the role of children's mother tongues in their educational development.
Educators are often much less aware of how quickly children can lose their ability to use their mother tongue, even in the home context. The extent and rapidity of language loss will vary according to the concentration of families from a particular linguistic group in the neighborhood. Where the mother tongue is used extensively in the community, then language loss among young children will be less. However, where language communities are not concentrated in particular neighborhoods, children can lose their ability to communicate in their mother tongue within 2-3 years of starting school.
One of the main problems posed by sand dunes is their encroachment on human habitats. Sand dunes move by different means, all of them aided by the wind. Sand dunes threaten buildings and crops in Africa, the Middle East, and China. Preventing sand dunes from overwhelming cities and agricultural areas has become a priority for the United Nations Environment Program. On the other hand, dune habitats provide niches for highly specialized plants and animals, including numerous rare and endangered species. Bricks are one of the oldest known building materials, dating back to 7000 BCE. The oldest found were sun-dried mud bricks in southern Turkey, and these would have been standard in those days. Although sun-dried mud bricks worked reasonably well, especially in moderate climates, fired bricks were found to be more resistant to harsher weather conditions, and so fired bricks are much more reliable for use in permanent buildings. Fired brick are also useful in hotter climates, as they can absorb any heat generated throughout the day, and then release it at night.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.